Hello, this is the GPS Insight Podcast, and I'm your host, Carla Wardin. We're talking to experts about everything to do with fleet and field. From telematics to dash cams to GPS tracking to today's issues, we're exploring what's going on in our industry together. Thanks for listening. Hello, I'm Carla Wardin with the GPS Insight Podcast, and today I'm talking to Jerry Scott, and he is our Chief Operating Officer. Hello, Jerry. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good. Tell me all about yourself. What do you do? Where do you live? What's your goal? What's going on with your job?
Yeah, so I live in North Phoenix area, in the Phoenix greater area. I'm the, as you mentioned, Chief Operating Officer. Let me tell you a little bit about what I do here at the company. I have a great team. I oversee the fulfillment department, which is in charge of making sure the customers get their devices in a timely manner, inventory and everything associated with that. I also have the installation department that's underneath me. That's the next stage of the customer's experience, right? That's getting the devices, getting them installed into the vehicles. And that department provides professional services. So we work with third-party installers, making sure that those devices get installed into the vehicles on time and in the correct manner. We also assist customers if they choose to do self-installs, which we do like to have customers do the self-installs as well. I think it's a good experience for them. And our product allows the customers to do that. We make it very easy for them to install them in a lot of the future products that that we have out there. But we will provide services on expertise in regards to what that would entail if they do decide to do some self-installs.
Good.
Technical support, another department. I got lots of departments underneath me.
You sure do.
So technical support side, that's everything from just the general technical support. If you call in, you've got a simple issue that you need resolved, some help, we can resolve that. Also the upper level, level 2 and level 3 support is underneath me. I have a great team there. This is more driven on project-driven technical support or in-depth issues that need to get resolved. That team works with internal resources and external resources to get those problems resolved for the customer. Another team underneath me is the business operations team, right? So that team is an invaluable team, as all of them are, but this team is responsible for the ERP system, the CRM system, the inventory management systems, everything on the back end that runs the company. So
did we run out of teams? Do you have any more teams?
I do have another team. You want to hear about another team? And I'd like to talk about what you're going to hear about this team too, is more of the BI team, right? That's the business intelligence team. So that's the team that's making sure that we have good data, actionable data for the entire company and for our customers.
That is really interesting. It sounds like you have a lot going on, and it seems like you have a lot of people that you're working with. How long have you been doing this now?
Gary Fitzgerald, our CEO, he brought me on board with some other of the executive team about 4.5 years ago. And it's been a fantastic ride. Let me just tell you, it's been exciting. It's been innovating. I mean, the innovation's been great. Most importantly is the people I get to work with. Working with someone like Gary and the other executive team, they are fantastic. Probably some of the best individuals I've worked with in my entire career.
That is great. It's always nice when you like going to work. Tell me more about the BI team. I don't know very much about it.
On the BI team itself, the BI team is there's made up of about 3 different individuals that we have. We have Dan DeHaven, excuse me, Antonio Vega, and Matt Cardella. All 3 of them are working really hard in making sure that the data is coming in correctly and is actionable by the teams internally.
Got it.
They're also responsible for adding the connectors. So as we have new systems that come online or new companies or acquisitions, we make sure they're responsible for making sure that data gets in the system and is properly queried out of the system and put on actionable data or boards or cards or however the executive team or the management team wants to see that data.
So that's all very behind the scenes that the customers wouldn't necessarily know about is happening. What else are you doing for customers that they might not know about is happening?
Yeah, great question. What we do with data, we do a lot of stuff internally with data that helps out the customers. One of the ones that I think is really important that customers might not know about is the teams are constantly looking at case information. We gather data about our cases. We gather data about our phone systems. We're constantly measuring it. And a perfect example is we'll look at case and we say, oh, here's a trend that's happening in the system, right? Here's something that we're seeing from our customers. It's a question they might be asking. It could be a function of the device that may be not performing to the level that we want it to perform at. And we'll see those trends within the system. And with that data, we'll take a more proactive approach to that. We'll say, okay, what's happening? What we need to fix? How do we fix it? We come up with a solution and we implement that solution. So whether that solution is updating the device's firmware or updating a script, or maybe it's an educational thing. It could be an educational thing with the customers and providing them more information on how to utilize the system in a better way. We take that data and we create actionable items on that data to improve the customer's experience. Another thing that we do is we'll take a look at accounts, like an entire account. It could be an account of 100 devices, maybe it's 2,000 devices or more. And we'll do, twice a year, we'll do what we do account assessments on those, more kind of like a device health assessment, where we'll review every single one of their devices, see how they're performing in the vehicles or assets. Is there a low battery? Is it getting ignition? Is there an input that's not performing properly, or are they performing properly? So we do the analysis. We go back, and if anything that we see wrong, we'll proactively either update the device, or we will get the customers involved with their account managers and review that analysis and say, okay, what action can we take to improve your experience with our product? And so we're doing that all in the back end that customers probably aren't aware of.
It's always nice when someone's taking care of you and you don't even know it.
Absolutely.
I wish I were getting a health assessment on all of these devices that I have, because they break about once a year, right? That's all I get. So in your 4 years, what are some of your biggest successes? What have you been really happy with?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have to admit that probably the biggest one is kind of related to one of the reasons why Gary brought me into the company. Communication, accountability for the departments, and especially for the departments that were underneath me. In the past 4 years, actually probably the first 2 years, I would say, we created a kind of a culture of collaboration and communication. And behind that, by adding additional resources and systems, bringing the teams together where they were actually, able to accomplish so much more by creating this culture of communication. And we did this through regular cadence of meetings. We did this through software. We use project management or task management software. And by making sure that everyone puts their goals and strategies within the software and getting access to everyone to it, it created accountability to it. So everyone was, now I'm accountable for what I'm putting on paper or within the system. And then you're in meetings and you're presenting every week, you're presenting and say, this is what I've done, this is what I've accomplished. And you have a sense of, hey, I need to make sure I get that done. I'm in front of my peers. I'm going to make sure that I'm providing them the value that they're looking for me to provide them. And because we have cross collaboration, and operations is not just one team, it's multiple teams. Each team is dependent upon the other. Installs is dependent on fulfillment, making sure they get the devices there. BizOps is responsible. Every team is relied upon business operations and the business intelligence teams. So everyone's relying on each other, and by putting it in one system and being able to review that on a weekly basis, I changed the culture. It really, I take pride in that, but I take more pride, excuse me, in the actual individuals that were using those systems and actually came up to speed on it. And they really changed the way they were actually thinking about the business in general, how they were thinking about the customers. So that was all very exciting.
That is great, especially when you can see the results from something like that and see that it's a better business and has a better culture. I mean, you're going to look at that the rest of your career, I'm sure.
And some of that came off of that is just the process improvements, because we started having deeper conversations about what we really needed, and not just what their department needed, but how it affected the other departments. And so by having those deeper conversations and having those weekly meetings, you really were able to dive deep into those solutions. And so when you were solving a problem, you weren't just solving it for yourself, you were solving it for the entire company, and you were solving it for the customers themselves too.
That is the most important part.
Yep.
Making sure the customers
Absolutely.
are solving their problems. When you are talking to people, say you're at a party and you say, oh, I'm a CEO of this company, what is a regular day for you? Obviously, you're working with a lot of departments, you're working with a lot of people. Do people know what your job is like? Like what's a regular day?
Regular day. Well, we kind of touched on it a little bit. Meetings, lots of meetings. But that's part of communication, right? That's part of my job, is making sure that my teams are communicating, making sure that I understand what my teams are doing. I want my direct reports to update me. Hey, what are their successes? What are they accomplishing? What have they done? I also want them to tell me, what are the blockers? What are some of the issues they're having, and how are you resolving those? And do you need help? Is there something that I can do for you as a manager to make your life easier? And that's what my job is not to do their job, but to take away those blockers that they're seeing. It could be a communication issue. It could be, I need a new software. Whatever that might be, is remove those blockers for them. And then encourage the ideas, right? The new ideas, to think out of the box, not to do the same thing we've done for the past year, because we need to, as a company, be innovative. We need to continue to grow. So important to make sure that they're always constantly thinking, we've done it this way for, the past 10 years. We could probably do it a different way. Things have changed. There's new softwares out there, right? So encourage them for those new ideas, and talk strategy with them, right? Making sure that they're not caught up in the technical part of their business, because operation is 99% tactical, right? Everything we do is tactical. We're trying to accomplish something, get something done, resolve a problem, but we need to step back and we need to strategically think about things as well. So making sure that we're having those conversations. So that's my day, trying to solve problems and everything else associated with that.
Solve problems, communicate, get interviewed for a podcast, just regular.
Right.
It's really nice that part of it is encouraging creativity, because obviously if you work somewhere, it's like, nope, this is the way we've always done it, and that's the way we're always going to do it. It's a lot harder for people if they have good ideas. So it's nice that
yeah. And that's one thing that, we get so caught up in our daily routines that sometimes we need to step back and think about things a little bit differently, right? Let's do it a different approach, right? Because there are better ways to do it, or different ways, I should say. Not there could be 100 different ways to do something. Maybe we need to change the way we look at that, and it could turn out to be a little bit better. It could be a better experience for our customers.
Mm-hmm. In your last 4 years, what are you seeing in the industry that you haven't seen in the past?
Good question again, because I think in the past couple of years, especially the past couple of years, we've seen a request for more data. And it's not just more data, because if we just present the data to our customers, that's not what they're looking for. What they want actionable data.
Mm-hmm.
They want the ability to not have to spend 2 or 3 hours pulling reports and then trying to sift through the reports and do the analysis themselves. What they want us to tell them how to make their job easier, how to run their business better. So Shay on the product team, he's been doing a lot of work in regards to data and putting together some reporting that's going to be available for customers on the portal side, directly to the customers, But we also are on the operational side internally are looking at the same way. We're trying to provide that same data too. More on the back end, but then provide actions to solve their problems as well. The other thing that I see a big press for and is safety. Safety within the entire industry, right? So customers are saying, we need safety programs, we need cameras, we need our customers to feel safe, we need our drivers or our employees to feel safe in the vehicles. Some of this is driven internally, but some of it's also driven by the insurance industry, right? So the insurance industry is coming to our customers and saying, listen, if you want your rates to go down, or if you want us to continue to cover you, you are going to have to put in a safety program, or you're going to have to put in cameras in your vehicles. So I see this as being probably the two major items in the past couple of years, see a big push on.
Obviously, that does so much for rates, and it does so much for the companies knowing what's going on and protecting their drivers. I've seen a lot of that in the last year, and obviously that's going to continue. What do you see happening in the next year? What do you have going for 2023 in the business?
Yeah, a lot. I have a lot. Let's see what I can come up with here. Obviously, you know, and I push this every year. I push my teams to do this, right? This is improving the customer's experience. But this year, we want to improve the engagement, right? We want to improve that customer experience, but on the engagement side with the support team. How do we make that a better experience for the team? I mean, for the customer and our teams. You know, customers support is the first person customer will talk to, right? You know, they typically will call the customer, I should say, so on the issue they have when they're calling in. Support is the first customer or person that they're touching. So when they're having that conversation, we need to make sure that conversation feels like we care. We're going to be helpful. We're trying to resolve their issue. We don't want pushback. We don't want the customer to feel like, oh, I'm going to have to get transferred to someone else. So how can we improve that initial conversation or touch point with the customer?
Gotcha.
Some of that has to go, some of that is related to a KPI that I have the team managing, which is our one-touch KPI, right? How many of those cases when a customer calls in or the first touch, is the customer able to are we able to resolve the customer's experience or issue with that? And we're striving for 85% of those. And that's actually really high due to some of the complexities of the product that we have. But we are sitting close to about 70. So we have a long ways to go, but we are striving for that. My hope is this year that we will get closer to that 85%, but that's one of our goals here.
Good.
How much more do you want? Because I have a lot of stuff.
That's my only goal for 2023.
I have a lot, and most of them are all wrapped around the customer experience on the operational side. So you know, improving fulfillment times, making sure we get the products there faster, right? We're actually working on a drip campaign for the installation process. So that on brand new customers, that's the biggest pain point. It could be the installation process, because we're asking customers to take their vehicles out of service. Vehicles that are providing them income, right? Or service that are providing them income. So we're asking them to take them out for a day or so. And that can be a painful process for the customers. Like, oh, now I gotta coordinate, my vehicles have to be at this place at this time to make sure they get installed. And now I'm gonna lose, you know, X number of dollars because they're out of service. So we need to make sure that process is as streamlined, excuse me, got tongue tied there, but streamlined as much as possible for the customer. And so we're working on a drip campaign also with some additional emails to say, listen, we just installed these devices. This is what you need to know. This is how you register them. What can we do to improve them? This is the next step of your experience with GPS Insights. So we're working on that with marketing, see how we can improve that. We're also working on the BI system too. So we want to make sure, you know, the business intelligence side is we're trying to streamline that internally for our own internal customers. So we just not only do we have the external customers, but we have internal customers that we are held liable to. So we're trying to make that data easier to get to, more actionable internally, and more, I should say, reliable in making sure that people aren't second guessing the data that they're depending on.
I love how so many of your answers are about the customer experience and making sure the data and the hardware and everything is working for them. But since you also work internally in the meetings, communicating with everyone every day, where do you get your energy? Where do you, after work, do you want to talk to people still? Or are you like, oh, I'm done for the day?
Yeah, my energy comes from that's my personality, right? I'm a go-getter. I love solving problems. That's where if I could solve a problem, great. That'll get me up every morning. If I have a problem to solve, that gets me up every morning. I like to solve problems. The other thing is mentoring is providing value for individuals and helping them grow. So, right. My leaders in my departments, they're fantastic, and whatever I can do to give them support and train them, and for them to be better leaders themselves, mentor them and grow. I'm trying to constantly, find the next Jerry.
Good. Replace yourself.
Yes, replace myself, right? So I'm not going to be here forever, right? And I want them to succeed. I want them to feel like they're constantly learning. And unless you're challenged and you have to be somewhat uncomfortable, you're not growing unless you're a little bit uncomfortable. You have to be kind of pushed a little bit. And that's my job, right? So I get up in the morning because I know that I have people that are relying on me. I have problems to solve, and I have people that I feel I can make a difference in their life.
That is so great. That's even better than coffee, I gotta tell you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I really appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Once again, this is Carla Wardin with the GPS Insight Podcast, and I've been speaking with Jerry Scott.